Good day everybody. Now I've got your attention on how to splice feathers easily. There is no such word as easy feather splicing, but I have devised a way on how to eliminate the waste that's associated with splicing of feathers. You do get a lot of waste because things do go wrong. Okay, so what you're going to need to do for this project will be a couple of full-length feathers. That's what you're going to need. Some pre-cut feathers, that's 4-inch shield cut. You're going to need some glue, some fletching glue. You're going to need some files. Now, these little files here, you can buy them anywhere. They're different widths and shapes. This is the one I'm going to use. That's just a triangle file. And there's loads of them. I've got heaps of them with different widths, and the width is the thing that you're going to need to dictate the width of the splice. Okay, so traditionally when you splice a feather, you've got to get that. You've got to lift the back off, and you've got to peel the quill or the foot of the feather away from the skin. And chances are you'll get so far with it, and it might break on you. It really is a fidgety sort of thing to do, and you need a feather chopper as well, and you've got to grind the other feather down and put it in. So anyway, so I found an easier way of doing it, still splicing. As far as I'm concerned, just cutting a feather and butt joining it, that's not like proper splicing. This works really well, what I'm going to show you. It's not a fast project, so what else you're going to need is the patience of a fisherman and the hands of a surgeon, I'll tell you. Okay, you'll also need a very sharp knife, hobby knife, and this is what I use. One of those guys. I use a clamp to put my feather in. If you haven't got a clamp, a straight clamp, you can use this is a small bulldog clamp, I haven't got a big one, but you can use a very large bulldog clamp to hold on to the feather, which I'll demonstrate in a minute. You're going to need some sandpaper, good old 320. Okay, first thing that you do is you get the feather. Alright, I'll put you down here. I'm going to show you what I've done down here on my chopping board. Just there, you'll see a piece of masking tape. I think you can see it. There we go, there's a piece of masking tape just there with some marks on it. Now, what I've done is I need to cut this feather to put another colour into it. So if you can see with the way the feather runs, if I was to cut it, say, just here, I would take this portion of the back feather out because the feathers run at an angle like that. So to get a colour in here, up this way, you need to mark it up about here. And you'll have that splice come out to about there, on the back end there, which is what I'm trying to do. Okay, so you need to mark that. So piece of masking tape, you mark on your tape the length of that feather, and then you also mark on the tape where you want to cut it out. Now, the width of the cutout is the width of your file. Here's the width of your file. Where are you? I'll put you down here somewhere. Now I've lost you. Okay, will be the width of a file. If I can find my file. There it is. Okay, so that's the width of my file. That is the width I'm going to take out of that feather, which is that. Now when I'm cutting these, I'll show you in a minute when I cut it, I will cut either side of that, like in. So if I make a mistake, I've got a little bit of wriggle room there to fix that up. Okay, so I put the feather down. Yep, you can see that. Put the feather down on my tape. Place it like that. And then I mark where I want to cut it out. So use a pencil, don't use a pen, because these marks have got to come off. Mark it there. And I mark it there. And you'll end up with two marks on it like that, where I want to dissect that piece of feather out. Then what we do, we get our sharp knife, we put the knife in the feather where you want to cut it. So put it in there, just open it up a bit to make sure that I'm just this side of that mark. On just that side of that mark, like that. So I've opened it up. Okay, put it on the board with your knife, run towards the other mark, 3/4 of the way, not all the way. Turn the feather over, and we've chopped the piece out there. So now it looks like that. Now put the knife in the other side. We're going to cut the other way. Open the feather up. No, too far forward, too far forward. That looks about right. Okay, put him on the board. And then cut him back the other way. Until you've got that. So I've still got a little bit of the feather on the inside of these marks. Just in case I make a mistake, we can take them out in a minute. You probably will do that when you're filing as well. Okay, so, right, so it looks like that. So what we've got down there is just the skin and a little bit of feather there left. That's fine. Now what we do, we get our file, our trusty file. We put it in there, put it on the board, and then we just grind that. Now what we want to do is get the skin off. That's what we're trying to do, is take that skin off. So you turn it over, do the other side, make sure you get it nice and flat. And if you have a look there, we're getting there. Just about there. Keep grinding. Nearly there. It is a long-winded job, but if you like using your hands and you like your arrows to look really nice, it's well worth it. Okay, so now we've done that. There's our marks, it's nearly there. Just pluck off any loose bits that might be sitting in there like that. Make sure you're right up into there, because we've got to put our splice into there. Look, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. I've taken all that colour out, which has meant I've taken the skin off. Right, next thing we do, we get our feather that we want to splice in. I've just got a brown feather here. Now, the width of that, you want the same width as this. You don't want it, you can have it smaller, but not larger. It just means you've got to sand it down to get it nice and level, which is a little bit more work that you don't want to do. Right, so what I do is with your bulldog clamp, get your knife, just chop it. Get your piece of feather that you want to splice into it. You'll get a few out of that too, by the way. This is what I'm saying, there's minimal waste in doing it like this. Right, put it in your clamp, or your bulldog clamp like that. Get your piece of sandpaper, lay it flat, and then start taking that quill off or the foot down. Just take it down. Nice even strokes. I tend to push at an angle. I don't go straight up and down like that. I tend to push out at an angle. If you go straight up and down, it slips in the clamp, it tends to ruffle the feather up, it pulls it forward, and yeah, the feather doesn't look too good. So, we just rub it at an angle. Keep it going, keep checking it, because what we want to do is you want to get all that quill off. Keep going. Now, what you'll start to see, I don't know if you can see that or not, get that focused, you can see little brown bits coming on the side. That means it's coming down to the skin. That's what we want. Keep going. Probably something I wouldn't do while I was having a beer, because you need pretty steady hands to do it, I tell you. Okay. Nearly there. Okay. Got a rag, clean them up. That's pretty much what we want. See that? It's just virtually all gone. Don't go right through it because it'll just fall apart on you, but that's just left down to the skin. That's pretty much what I want. I'm just going to use this piece of feather just here at the top where it's at its thinnest. It's as easy as that, and you know, you'll have really nice looking feathers too. You know what they say about archery, if you know, it's all about looking good on the range, isn't it? And if you, yeah, I know a lot of good looking people actually. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of that and we're going to drop it into that hole. So these are just these little scissors. Just need fine scissors for that. These are for cutting fishing line, and these do the job. So I'm just going to cut a piece of feather out, oversized. Now what I'm going to do is going to lay that on top of that. Just going to lay it on there like that. Put the front of it in the hole, and I'm going to overcut this because I want to cut it down a bit at a time. This is where you need hands like a surgeon. I'm afraid that's just not me. Okay, I'm going to cut the back end, just slightly cut that skin off. Okay, I'm going to line her up, see how we're going. I've got to cut a fair bit of that, so I'm going to cut a couple more off the front. Good thing about this, you're using such small pieces. You can use bigger pieces if you want, a lot more work. Oh, she's nearly there. It's just not quite, there's a little bit of a gap under the bottom, just not quite there. So, here comes Dr. Dave, Surgeon Dave. Righto. So we're going to make this as neat as we possibly can on the front. And just take a little bit off. We lost a bit of feather there. I would say that's pretty good. Can I offer him up? Yeah, there we go. And I'll say that's going to work pretty good. Yep. Okay, now get your sandpaper and rub off the pencil marks. So just lay them down, just a little bit of a rub until they go disappear. There we go. A couple of feathery facts for you too on a full-length feather. What keeps these guys together is it's like a little post and a hook, microscopic. And on a full-length feather, I think they said there was about 10,000 of those little hook and posts. That's what holds them all together. Yeah. And it's actually made of keratin, same stuff as your fingernails. Snake scales, keratin. Okay. Now we've got our bit of feather. That's enough about the feathery facts. I'm going to glue that in there. Yep, pretty happy with that. Okay, get your fletching glue. Just ordinary fletching glue. Don't use the instant stuff because we want to move this around a little bit, just in case. Just a dab of glue on there. feather. Push him down like that. I generally just hold it in my hand like that, and I just push it in and down and push it against my finger so it's sitting nice and neat on the other side. And get it come down a little bit there. There we go. So you'll end up with something that looks like that, which is what we want. Lovely. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Now what we've got to do, I'll just fire up my cooker. Right, I'm going to show you another neat trick. Because feathers are made of keratin, they're easy to burn. Now, you get your scissors. Here comes Surgeon Dave again. Now what we've got to do is we've got to cut around this. Now, like I said, the old way you'd have to have a chopper, but this way you don't need a chopper. So you just line him up like that. Now I'm going to overcut this so it looks like that. Okay, if you've got steady enough hands to do it, that's fine. I generally do cut them, but for demonstration purposes, I'm going to show you how to burn them. So if it looks like a dog's tooth on the end of it, this is how you're going to fix it. Okay, that's just a butter knife sitting in a flame. So you get all of it and just touch it. Be cool. Perfect. I'll just turn that off. And then we have it. And that little bit of char mark, just get your knife and just run it the other way. Just flick it off. And there we go. That's pretty good. And that's how you do it. Now, if you want to drop another colour in there, so you can do what you like, really. Sky's the limit. And then you'll end up with arrows that look like, where'd I put them? Here they are. You'll end up with a nice set of arrows like that, and that's how it looks. That's how it looks. If you want to just drop one colour in onto your index feather, that's fine. Whatever you want to do, like it's up to your imagination. But that is a splice feather, and that's you know, no waste. This is what I like about it. They're fantastic. These are my hunting arrows. I call them my charter boat arrows. The boys up north will know what I'm talking about. That. And there you go. And I hope that was hopeful, guys, and you get something out of that. Yeah, I'll catch you. I'll see you all on the range. Thanks for watching.